Christmas night, 1996. The Ramsey family home in Boulder, Colorado was glowing with holiday lights and quiet happiness. 6-year-old JonBenét, a bright and charming beauty pageant winner, had just returned from a family party. She fell asleep in the car, and her father gently carried her upstairs. Her mother, Patsy, made sure the house was perfect before going to bed. Everything looked safe, normal, peaceful. But before sunrise, everything changed. At 5:52 a.m., a panicked 911 call shattered the silence. Patsy said her daughter was missing, and a handwritten ransom note demanded $118,000. Police rushed to the home, but in the chaos, friends and officers walked through rooms, touched evidence, and unknowingly destroyed the crime scene. No one realized it yet, but the truth was already slipping away. The perfect Christmas night had turned into one of America's most chilling unsolved mysteries. When Patsy Ramsey found the ransom note on the staircase in the early morning hours of December 26th, everything felt unreal. The note was strangely long, over 2.5 pages, and written in shaky handwriting that seemed forced. It claimed to be from a foreign faction and demanded exactly $118,000, the same amount as John Ramsey's recent work bonus. It warned the family not to contact police, yet Patsy called 911 within minutes. Detectives found it suspicious. Why was a kidnapper writing a letter inside the home for so long without fear of being caught? Even stranger, the paper and pen used to write the letter came from inside the Ramsey house. To investigators, it didn't look like a professional kidnapping. It looked personal. Something was deeply wrong, and this note, meant to provide answers, only created more questions in one of the most confusing crime scenes in history. At 5:52 a.m., Patsy Ramsey dialed 911 with a panicked voice that echoed through the quiet morning. She told the operator her daughter had been kidnapped and begged for help. Within minutes, police arrived at the Ramsey home. But what happened next became one of the biggest failures in true crime history. Instead of securing the scene, officers allowed friends and neighbors to enter the house to comfort the family. People walked through rooms, cleaned counters, moved items, and touched everything. The basement, where the body would later be found, was never properly searched at first. Key evidence was destroyed before investigators even knew what to look for. The Ramsey home should have been treated like a crime scene, but instead, it became a crowded house full of confusion. No forced entry, no clear suspect, no control. From the very first hour, the case was already slipping away. As police searched the Ramsey home, they made a crucial mistake. They didn't fully inspect the basement. The house was large, with multiple rooms and storage areas, and officers assumed no kidnapper would hide inside. They focused on the upstairs bedrooms, completely overlooking the darkest part of the house. For hours, the basement door remained almost ignored. Even when one officer briefly glanced inside, he didn't notice anything unusual. But hidden behind a small wooden door was a windowless storage room, cold, silent, and completely out of sight. This room would later become the most important place in the entire case. If investigators had opened it earlier, everything might have been different. But they didn't. The house continued to fill with noise, people, and confusion. And just a few steps below them, the truth was waiting in the dark. After hours of searching with no progress, Detective Fleet White decided to check the basement one more time. He opened the small wooden door to the storage room, something most officers had ignored. The moment he stepped inside, the air felt heavier and colder. Then he saw her. JonBenét Ramsey was lying on the floor, covered with a white blanket. Her hands were tied, and duct tape was placed over her mouth. For a moment, the room went silent. Fleet called out for John Ramsey, and when John saw his daughter, he broke down in tears and lifted her into his arms, carrying her upstairs. But in doing so, the most critical evidence was disturbed. The crime scene was no longer pure. The killer's clues were damaged forever. What should have been the moment of truth became the moment that changed everything. And from this point on, Nothing about this case would ever make sense again. The moment JonBenét's body was found, everything changed. But instead of answers, the mystery only grew darker. Normally, the family would be separated and questioned immediately. But in this case, the Ramseys were allowed to stay together in one room, free to talk, cry, and even coordinate stories. Friends and pastors surrounded them, comforting them like a grieving family. But investigators saw a problem. Too many people, too much noise, too many chances to hide the truth. Detectives realized the kidnap theory no longer made sense. There was no forced entry, no footprints in the snow, no sign of anyone escaping. Whoever did this was most likely already inside the house. Suddenly, suspicion turned inward. Was it an intruder who left no trace? Or did someone in the family know more than they were saying? The perfect image of the Ramseys began to crack, and trust started to disappear. At first, the Ramseys were treated like grieving parents. But as investigators looked deeper, things didn't add up. Why did the ransom note demand $118,000, the exact amount of John Ramsey's recent work bonus? Why was the note written on paper from inside the house? Why did it take hours for the police to search the basement where JonBenét was found? Slowly, suspicion turned toward the very people who were supposed to protect her. Detectives noticed how calm the parents seemed on camera, how carefully they chose their words. Some experts said their reactions looked performed. Others believed grief can appear in many forms, but the public wasn't sure. Was this the work of a cold-blooded intruder, or a carefully hidden family secret? The media exploded. Whispers turned into accusations, and the Ramsey family went from victims to suspects. As investigators dug deeper, shocking details appeared. There were no signs of forced entry, yet a broken window in the basement raised questions. Was it from an intruder or staged from inside? Some evidence suggested a struggle, but other evidence looked cleaned or disturbed. The ransom note was unusually long, written calmly, almost like someone had plenty of time. Even stranger, the handwriting seemed to partially match someone inside the home, but nothing was conclusive. DNA was found on JonBenét's clothing, yet it didn't match anyone in the family. Was the killer a stranger, a visitor, or someone the police had completely overlooked? Every clue opened a new mystery. Every answer created more doubt. The deeper they searched, the more confusing the truth became. As the investigation stalled, public opinion shifted in a shocking direction, toward JonBenét's own family. How could parents become suspects in their child's murder? Yet the media pushed the idea. People questioned Patsy's emotional behavior and pointed to inconsistencies in their statements. Some claimed the note was written by someone inside the house. Others suggested the scene looked staged. Even 9-year-old Burke, JonBenét's brother, faced rumors. But there was no clear proof against any of them. Were they hiding something, or just grieving in their own way? The family felt trapped, mourning their daughter while being judged by the entire world. The question echoed everywhere. Were they victims or suspects? Or was the real killer still out there, unseen? The JonBenét Ramsey case exploded beyond Colorado and became a nationwide obsession. Every news channel covered it. Talk shows debated theories for hours. Tabloids published wild accusations, strangers claimed to have secret information, and TV specials recreated the crime scene in dramatic detail. Some people believed the family was innocent. Others were convinced they were hiding the truth. The case turned into entertainment, and the world forgot this was about a real 6-year-old girl. The Ramseys couldn't escape the cameras. Journalists camped outside their house day and night. The public demanded answers. Pressure on the police grew intense. Everyone wanted the mystery solved, but the truth only seemed to get darker, more twisted, and more confusing. As the years passed, the Ramsey family found themselves not just grieving, but fighting for their reputation. The media, talk shows, and even former investigators publicly accused them of being involved in JonBenét's death. CBS, tabloids, and documentaries pointed fingers at the parents. And even at her 9-year-old brother, Burke. The Ramseys said they were innocent, but the world was already divided. In 1999, a grand jury secretly voted to indict the Ramseys for child abuse leading to death. But the district attorney refused to sign it, saying there wasn't enough evidence. The case grew even more confusing. The Ramseys then sued multiple media outlets for defamation and won several settlements. But no lawsuit could repair the damage done to their name or bring back their daughter. They were trapped between grief and suspicion, living a nightmare where the real killer was still free. And the truth felt more distant than ever. It has been decades since JonBenét Ramsey was found in the basement of her own home. Yet her voice still echoes through every corner of true crime history. Millions of people around the world still search for answers. Podcasts, documentaries, online detectives, even advanced DNA technology. Over the years, new suspects appeared, confessions were made, and theories changed. But the truth always slipped away. Some believe an intruder killed her. Others think someone inside the house knew more than they said. The evidence? Confusing. The investigation? Damaged. The mystery? Unforgettable. Today, the Ramsey home still stands in Boulder, beautiful and silent, a symbol of a question the world cannot answer. Who killed JonBenét? And why? Until the day the truth rises from the shadows, this case will remain one of the most chilling and heartbreaking unsolved mysteries in American history. A little girl's light was stolen, but her story will never be forgotten.